Welcome to the Podcasting Mentor Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to stop hiding and start showing up on the right stages without the burnout. I'm Candace Dudley, podcast guesting strategist, and your go-to for turning interviews into your favorite marketing and networking tool. And guess what? My podcast guesting accelerator is now enrolling for summer. Yep, this is your sign to finally get off the sidelines and into the spotlight. Like my client, Kelly, who landed 8 guest spots in a single week after we worked together. She called it a no-brainer and said she'd 1000% do it again. That's the power of intentional guesting, and that's exactly what will help you do. Let's get brave, let's get strategic, and let's get you heard. Head to the show notes for more details on my podcast guesting accelerator. Okay, I'm trying something new. You're actually my first test subject, if you will, to do kind of a live coaching session on the podcast. So I help people guest on podcasts and strategize and plan out speaking topics and get everything really aligned and cohesive so that they have the best experience and really can use it as a strategic marketing and networking tool. So Jessica is on, and we're just going to dive in to trying to get you some speaking topics and feel really confident in what you could talk about on podcasts. So why don't you quick tell me just a little bit about you and your business? Who do you help?
Sure. I'm Jessica Erickson, and I am currently launching the Dream to Done podcast. So I've been a life coach for a couple years. I've done group coaching and private coaching, and probably my claim to fame is that I'm really good with vision boards. I was a photographer in my previous job, and so I'm really good at designing things, and I have loved how vision boards have helped me accomplish my goals. In 2023, I got 13 out of 16 of my really, really big goals done. So that's 81%. And I mean, if you could say you got 81% of your New Year's resolutions done, wouldn't you feel like you crushed the world?
Yes, 100%.
So, I want to help other moms be able to discover what their dreams are. Sometimes we get a little lost in motherhood, and sometimes you can kind of put yourself last. So I want us to decide what our dreams are and do them.
Oh my gosh, I am pumped for this conversation. I didn't know any of this ahead of time. So for context for the listeners, I can't wait to dive into this. So obviously we're going to come back to that specific thing about you because you just said something that is going to set you apart. That's how you're different from other life coaches, that visual piece that you have with that photography background, and then the 80% that's crazy. What would you say is the number one problem that your clients come to you with?
My clients are coming to me because they're lacking clarity in what they really want, and so feeling really lost. Some of them are starting to resent their kids. I don't know if you've ever felt that, where you're like, I just do everything for you guys.
Yes, definitely.
And we love them. We love them to pieces and would do anything for them. But sometimes we forget to put ourselves in the mix. So I've worked with a couple of people going through divorce or just trying to restructure their life post kids, trying to figure out who they are now as a mom, especially if you've had a few kids. They're busy. Kids are busy. They've got a lot of stuff going on. So like how to put your goals and your dreams back in the mix.
That is so needed. Speaking of a mother of 3 right now, looking at our June summer rec schedule, it's wild. What makes you different? You already kind of led into it. I see it. Can you elaborate on the life coaching piece? You say that covers the overarching thing of what you would call yourself. And then we want to like dive layers deep. You're not just like every other life coach. So those different, unique parts of you.
Sure. I mean, I think because I do have 4 kids, I also have a husband who's a doctor, and can I be honest, he's gone a lot. So especially during med school and residency, I felt like a single mom, felt really alone, and had to figure out how to do that on my own. And even now, I don't really count on him being here. I kind of plan our whole lives around him not being able to show up for things. So shout out to all the legit single moms, because I know that that's more difficult than what I'm doing because I occasionally have some help. But I have figured out some tips and tricks to streamline things and figure out my calendar and scheduling so that I can do all of the mom things without going crazy. So that's one thing.
You're living it. You're living it. So you get it. So it's not just someone that has no kids that's like, I'm going to help moms. They seem like they need some help. You're like, no, I'm in the trenches with you. But here is how I manage. Okay, yes, love that.
So I'm living it. And then I would also say I'm very very empathetic. I saw that as like a bad thing for a really long time in my life. And now I'm realizing that being able to feel other people's emotions and get really like in the trenches with them can provide a level of safety that maybe other coaches aren't doing. So with the photography background, like literally love creating vision boards. It's so fun. And when you create a vision board, you have to have some clarity on what your goal is. Otherwise, you can't put it into a picture. So getting clear on what goals are, I'm really good at condensing and organizing things and coming up with a plan. Designing really fun, pretty stuff is great. I love designing things for clients. I had a client last week, and this is something that I just kind of add on for fun with my clients. She was talking about how she was really stressed about the laundry. So I designed her a little laundry chart so she can put it up in the bathroom. And it was just like an added bonus that she didn't have to do or figure out. It just got emailed to her and she could print it off and use it.
Oh, I love that. If I said, what kind of speaking topics come to mind? What excites you the most? And maybe what we can do is kind of backwards plan. What kind of offers do you have? Do you have a free resource? Because that's usually what I have my clients do is think about that so that we can then make sure that's aligned with what we're speaking about. So everything flows naturally and it's all going to get brought up very naturally in a show. So what are those pieces that you have set up in your business already?
Okay, so my free thing is the 3 things that you must put on your vision board. One of my offers is a done for you vision board. So we'll have a session and I'll create it. I will order it and it will show up at your doorstep already done. I also have a 12-week program where we really dive deep, get really clear on what your goals are. Creating your vision board is part of that, but then it's also accountability, learning tools, the same tools that I used to get that done, and the accountability of meeting every week with me. And I'm literally really good at holding people accountable.
Amazing. Those are very aligned. It's almost like different levels, an easy downloadable win and then a lower level where I can make you a vision. How great, because I know how important when you're trying to like reach goals, manifest, that a vision is like a picture of it, but I don't always want to make it. I'd rather like write it down, but I need the visions.
I even thought this, I need to make a vision board. So therefore I need to go to the store and buy 15 magazines and get the cute scissors that cut funny and like learn calligraphy. I just had all of these really great expectations. I was going to learn calligraphy. Like, are you kidding me? But when I do it digitally, I've got access to everything, all the fonts I want, any picture I want. I've got access to all of it. And it's so great too, because you can print it in different sizes and put it in different places in your house and in your car. I love that it's digital. I don't have my clients have to go buy magazines or scissors.
Like on your phone, screensaver on your desktop, something like that too. Yep. Amazing. What I find from being a host and then also having guested on tons of shows this year is if we can be really specific, that allows a host to say, yes, I need you on the show. Yes, I want that topic. So it feels kind of weird to narrow it down because you're like, oh, well, then who's going to need this? But the reality is that makes it so easy for the people that do want it to spot you. So if we were to come up with 2 to 3 speaking topics or even titles of an episode, that's sometimes easier to think of. Something jump out at you. Obviously, I think we want to tie in some type of vision board thing as one of them. Or maybe this is a better way to ask it. What do you feel most excited to talk about? If you had to go on a podcast tomorrow, you can't prep, you can't do anything. What would you be like? I could talk about this nonstop.
I can talk about vision boards pretty much nonstop.
Okay. Is it about all the pieces of vision board? Is it like how to decide what to put on it? Is it the whole process or is it the visual piece?
This is like the one piece that might be missing of my offerings is I wanted to offer, like, if you don't want to do it with me, but you want to do your own vision board, I think that's one thing I'm missing is a course where they can create their own. What do you think?
That would fit if it's like a DIY option where they have some videos or you have a workbooky type thing where you're prompting the questions and kind of guiding through and then they fill it in for those that want. That would be much lower ticket price and they could just do it on their own. That would make sense. I don't think you have to, but it would fit. I see what you're saying for sure.
So in my 12-week program, the first 2 to 3 weeks are getting really clear on what your goals are. We do some guided meditations and just really jump into clarity. So I feel like I could talk about that.
Okay.
But a lot of times there are people that already have their goals set out and they just don't see how a vision board could help move that needle, get a push over the finish line. And I feel like the getting clear stuff, a lot of other people talk about, but the vision board thing, I don't know that a lot of people.
Okay. I am typing stuff into Chat GPT because that's what I do next when we like get a topic. It's like, okay, I need some help formulating this into a conversation. So you're pretty specific to moms, right?
Yeah. And usually moms of a couple of kids.
There's so many podcasts out there. Honestly, when you start looking, it will blow your mind, but also it's a great thing because you don't need to be on all of them. You need to be on the ones that are aligned with you. So there are specific ones that are literally speaking to moms in entrepreneurship, moms with multiple kids, moms working from home. I usually just read these off and see if anything fits, like vision boards that actually work. From chaos to clarity, vision boards for the busy mom. Are we close on that? Or is it like,
Yeah. Or like maybe vision boards, no scissors or glue required. Something like that.
Yes. I like that. Write that down.
Writing it down.
If you're my client, I would take all the notes, but we're trying to do a podcast, host the show, ask the questions. I'm finding, this is trickier than I thought to keep my brain hosting and coaching, but we can make this work.
How to make vision boards for the busy mom too.
For the busy mom. Okay. I feel like we need to also have a topic or a title about the goal setting. That statistic of you hitting 13 of 16 huge goals, that's crazy. And also that's an amazing story to tell because the best podcast episodes are stories because people can connect and they can see themselves. So something that we could
maybe how to hit 81% of your goals.
I mean, it can be straightforward. Sometimes we want to have this like glitter, sparkle, rainbow title, but in reality, titles of episodes are searchable. So like someone could go type in, how do I hit more of my goals? How do I hit 80% of my goals? I think those both fit your offers and things. Is there something else, like another angle? So we have goal setting, we have vision boards. Essentially, they're the same thing, but is there a third way we could call this? Do you know what I'm saying?
Accountability.
Yes.
Accountability coach, cheerleader. I'm kind of a big cheerleader.
The power of accountability.
I like that.
Or even could combine that statistic or cross them. Something like when accountability and vision meets and helps you reach 80% of your goals. Or, you know what I mean? There's going to be the start of your title and then a colon and then another little tagline. I just think that piece of 13 out of 16 huge goals because of being so intentional doing your process, that speaks for itself and that's going to grab someone's attention and it's different. It's specific. Things like why vision boards work, especially for busy moms, especially for mompreneurs. There's podcasts for mompreneurs. So that would be a word people might use. Okay, so then when you get your list kind of worded how you like it, what I tell people to go and do for a quick win is take it and post it on, I like Threads, but whatever social media you love, and say, I'm looking to guest on podcasts this year, and here are 3 topics that I know I can provide a lot of value for, and then list them out and say, does anybody have a show or know of a host that's looking for these topics? You'll be surprised at that, how it can connect you possibly with the right people, but also just know, like, if you never tell someone that you want to guest on a podcast, you're not going to get to guest on a podcast. So just putting it out there and lead with, you're going to be able to give value in. I know, like, you could come on the show and like give my audience actual tangible tips on those things. Whereas like I've seen posts that's like, I have a goal to guest on 25 shows this year. Who wants a guest? Well, it's not value and serving focus. So that's something that you can easily keep in mind when you're putting that out there. And then now that you have those topics, you can also start searching on Threads. You can search podcast threads or podcast guests. Those are words I use a lot. And you might find hosts just posting applications. The algorithm will start working for you and it'll be like, oh, podcast guesting. And it'll just start showing you more of that. That's where I would start. If you're looking to like DIY it and do it yourself, I would go there.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah. What if I don't want to DIY it?
Good question. Glad you asked. So I offer that as a service. So I would find 10 to 15 shows and I would put it all in a tracker and I would have met with you, talked about what you're aligned with, and then following the shows, listening to it, and make sure that there are things in common with your values, your message, your mission, that kind of thing. And then I would hand off all of the contact information. I'd have all of the applications if they have them. Then I recommend that you send a DM to the host. Emails for hosts, I think right now are getting thrown in the trash or even into the junk folder because we get pitches so often from companies and they don't check for alignment and they're like, hey, I have a male realtor and he's amazing and pitching my show. And I'm like, it's for women entrepreneurs. Like, you're missing the mark. But a DM is much more personal. And then because of all the connections that I've built, if there is someone that I already know them in some capacity, I'll start a message thread for all of us and get the introductions going. That's really helpful too. Then if you get your podcast started and you're looking to do some swaps, that's usually an easy win. You don't always have to do that. You know, you want to protect what guests you bring on your show because you're building your audience. You have that know, like, and trust factor. And so if you bring on a guest, it's like you're saying to your audience, I trust this person, I vet this person. And so you don't want to take that lightly either. So it's not always going to be a swap, but because I would be doing the work to find that alignment, it probably would fit a lot of times to be a swap. And then that's an easy ask because most podcasters are like, yeah, let's swap because it's great for both of us to trade audiences if it's a fit. As far as the rest of the talking on the podcast, I always like to start with a couple tips about introducing yourself. And you did a really good job today, keeping it short. You just don't want to get into like your life story and take up 5 to 7 minutes. And that's happened 2 years ago when I started dabbling in guessing. I literally did that. And I had to have a host cut me off, and bless her, she should have, but you learn as you go. So you just want to give that snapshot of who you are, what do you do, and who you help. And then the host can ask you questions about your story and take it in the direction that they want to, but it allows you to just really get to the value part, which is where you'll be positioned as the authority and the expert on the topic. So you want to make sure that that introduction doesn't eat up like all of the talk. But you did a good job today, so I feel like you're going to be okay. And then at the end, just think about where you're going to send them. So it's really nice that you have that free resource. I would mention it when they are like, hey, thanks for being on. Where can we go find you? Say, hey, if you want to tackle some of these things or you want to get a vision board going, make sure you go get my free resource. We'll get it linked in the show notes and you can find it on my Instagram at Jessica Erickson or whatever it is. So have a place to send them for sure. And it's very appropriate to say that at the end of podcasts. And then in the middle, it's the value. It's like tangible tips. Obviously, you don't have to give away the whole system, and a podcast episode is too short to do that anyway. But I think people are kind of sick of all the gatekeeping. Just plan to come with some action. Like, here's a quick win for you. If you can weave things in, that's really a great way to also boost that authority. So it's totally okay to, like, when you're about ready to give an example or a tip, you could say what works really well for my clients or what I've seen in my clients. That doesn't sound salesy. That doesn't sound gross. It's true, but using that type of verbiage, a listener's like, oh, she has a service. She's just not on here talking. That was fast and furious, but hopefully you feel like you have a couple things you can go do. Do you think you will post on social media and take that next step?
Yeah, I need to download Threads. I haven't gotten on that one yet. So I've heard you and a couple other people talking about it. So I'm like, I'll probably have to do that.
I was really held up on it in the beginning and I downloaded it and thought, this is dumb. This is another place. And then I think it was a few months later and I was like, I'll just throw some spaghetti at the wall and see. And then the algorithm just changes so fast based on what I post and really dials it in. And I know it'll change. People just seem very laid back over there and supportive. The best ones are just text. So like the pictures and the videos, you don't even need it. You can create things so much faster, but that's just another thing to learn. For me, I kind of like traded it. I spend engagement time on Threads because it feels the most natural. And then I might show up and post on other apps, but I'm not engaging on all of them because then that's too time consuming. If you do make the shift and go over there, I would just say, obviously you're busy and you're short on time. So maybe there's an app that you have been kind of sick of and you're like, well, I'll swap it for that and see. Don't just add to your plate is what I'm saying.
And I mean, even if it's not on Threads, any posting on social media, that's a great idea. Yeah,
for sure. Other things that if it's not a podcast, I've been a speaker on someone's membership group because sometimes they need monthly speakers or topics that you might fit. So that's another unique twist too.
You find that through Threads as well?
The 3 for this summer I have. Yeah, I think I've guested since January on like 30 plus podcasts. And I would say like 95% have been Threads connections. It's been very crazy. Wasn't expecting it going in, but super glad it did. Let's wrap up here with you telling us where can they go and find you. Give us the spiel.
My website is jessicaericksoncoaching.com. And right there at the beginning, you can sign up to get that free guide for the 3 top things that you should definitely put on your vision board. And that's also where you can find my other programs. I'm also on Instagram at Jessica Erickson Coaching. Love to hear from your crew.
That will be in the show notes. Check her out if you've been stuck on moving the needle forward and reaching those goals. I know how accountability works and it is fabulous, worth every penny. So thank you for testing this out with me and being on, and I appreciate your time and openness.
It's so great chatting with you.
All right, that's it for today. If this episode gave you a little aha or you're thinking about guesting on podcasts now, I'd love to hear about it. Screenshot the episode, tag me on Instagram at Candace Dudley, and let me know your biggest takeaways. And don't forget to come back next Tuesday for another episode.